Welcome back to episode 135 of Tall Boy Radio. There's no Andy tonight, but look who's back from his travels. It's Gaza. Do you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about where you've been, dude?
Yeah, it's great to be back. I've missed it for the sort of 2-3 weeks maybe. We've sort of been on a bit of an adventure to the States. So we did 4 nights in New York, 4 nights in Vegas, 3 nights in San Francisco. And then we came back for a couple of days and then decided that wasn't quite enough, so I had a week in Lanzarote as well. So we sort of jet setting and this, that and the other. But look, I've missed podcasting. I really enjoy sort of Tuesday nights. So looking forward to this. And it's good to be back.
It is indeed. It's good to have you back, dude. And we're joined by a couple of guests tonight as well. Now, we've had them on the podcast before. I can't remember which episode it was. It was very, very early on. I think it was episode 40 or something like that, was it?
Yeah.
Is that early 40? Oh, my God.
I know. So, yeah, nearly 100 episodes done since. So, so you'll remember them. Obviously, I don't doubt you'll remember them as the Scottish Alchemists. Do you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
I better let my big sister go first. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Jenny from the Scottish Alchemists. There are 3 of us. My little sister will introduce herself shortly. So we are gin enthusiasts. It started out just drinking a lot of gin, and then started doing Highland Games events to promote some of the great craft gin that we're seeing in Scotland just now. And that kind of grew into us doing events for all sorts of different clients, from restaurants to shops to corporate clients, just with our own enthusiasm and trying to promote. And we always say there's a gin for everyone, and we will find that gin for you. And that's what we've made our sort of mission statement. So I'll hand you over to my little sister.
Yes, I'm Joyce. I'm not the youngest of the Scottish Alchemists. So no, here. I'm the younger sister of Jenny. Yeah, as Jenny says, we drink a lot of gin. We obviously have to do a lot of research. And I'm just back as well from 3 months of intensive research in Australia.
Wow. That puts your holiday to shame, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I see you're America 12 days, and I raised you in Australia for 3 months.
Yeah, trip of a lifetime, absolutely amazing. A lot of incredible gins coming out of Australia. Made a lot of good connections out there with not just craft gin makers, but also tonic makers. And I'm going to give a shout out to Long Race Tonic, who have some amazing tonics out there and gave me some really good tonics to try. So shout out to Long Race Bell. We've been drinking a lot of gin. We got back in the saddle on Sunday and did our most recent event at a local restaurant in the west of Scotland, where we do a gin tasting. We do 2 hours of gin tasting, and then they have a lovely Italian meal. So it was lovely to be back, and lots of banter, lots of giggles, lots of fun, lots of alcohol.
Good.
That's the way we like it. So we've sent you up some gin to try.
Yeah.
Which is made very, very local to us, literally just up the road, as it just so happens. And it is a gin company called The Edge. And what we will say this is, when we say we sent you the bottle of gin, we have to say, actually, to be fair, it was kindly supplied by them. They gave us the gin to send up to you, so we didn't pay for it. So that's a big thank you to them as well. So we'll get to their names in a little bit. But yeah, Claire and Mike, thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated. Now, as a bit of a disclaimer, before we start, we do taste this gin. There is no banana dolphin tonight.
I'm gutted.
Is there even maybe a can of Vimto lurking?
There's no Vimto. There's no Vimto. That's why Andy's not here.
Andy's not here. You'll be pleased to know there's no Vimto.
Yeah. But we do have.
Oh, Robin. Oh, how
Yeah.
Tall Boy Copa glasses as well. Look at that. You're fully kitted out.
What's happening?
I know. Well, 100 episodes in, we thought we better start taking it seriously.
Fantastic. Very impressed. Yeah, I haven't gone full on garnish, but I'm going to show you that later. I've done something different tonight.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well, I'll be interested to
Look forward to
see
that.
which animal you've carved out of a piece of fruit.
I've got like a wee tall boy sticker that I'll just put on and just to make
Oh.
up for anything else.
Nice. It's very much appreciated. It is very much appreciated. So yeah, so the Edge gin. Now they originally called this because they were originally making it in Alderley Edge, but they needed somewhere where they could bring people into the bar. And I did a tasting session there with the wife, and they do a few different gins. But we tried this actually. Myself and Gaz here, and Andy, we sponsored a barrel of beer, didn't we, at the Beer and Gin Festival?
Yeah, we did, and which was great.
Mhm.
It was a local beer and gin festival. I can't remember how many gins they had, but like a significant amount, and it's been going on for a number of years now. And they get local businesses to basically to sponsor either a barrel or a bottle, or, you know, whichever you prefer. We sponsored a barrel of beer, which was the first to sell out, I have to say. Whether or not that probably got nothing to do with us sponsoring it.
Like it was us drinking it.
It probably was drinking it. But yeah, it's a great day, and it's one of the days in Alsager, along with the Carnival Day and the Music Festival Day, that actually pretty much the whole of the town just goes down there, and they're either there the Friday, the Saturday, or the Sunday. And yeah, it's the first time we've been before, haven't we?
Mm.
It's the first time that we said we'd sponsor a barrel. We'll do it again, absolutely 100%. It's a great weekend. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many gins they've got, but it's significant. And a lot of local gins, a lot of sort of smaller sort of distilleries as such, you know, they are really trying to go into sort of, I suppose, the craft gin market as such, you know, rather than the very sort of large brands. You could go to the mainstream bar and get, you know, your Gordons or whatever, but the actual sort of gin festival was very much more try this, different flavors, different, you know, just different methods, all of that. So fantastic sort of weekend, and we were lucky enough to get there. We had a couple of beers and then went for some food afterwards. It was a really good day.
It was. And what
An Alchemist away trip.
yeah,
Absolutely.
That's it. Pencil it in for next.
Pencil it in 2023.
July, is it, or June?
July, yeah.
July is, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the gin which we all felt was probably the standout gin on the day, which was the one that we sent up to you there. So it's the Fruits of the Forest version of their gin. So they do two other different flavors. They do a pear gin and they do an orange as well. But the Fruits of the Forest. Do you want to talk us through then some tasting tips, and I'll try not to get my chocolate robin up my nose.
And that's the sentence I never thought.
Do you want to do the first bit, Jenny, and I'll do the question?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, because I don't really subscribe to your way. I just knock it back.
Okay.
But you go ahead, Joyce.
All right, I'll knock myself out here. Right, so a lot of people drink straight gin just to taste it, just to get the flavours, but we also found that drinking it straight can just burn your palate and actually ruin any taste you get from it. So we encourage people to stick your finger in it, rub it on your lips, and then lick it off your lips. That's a gentler taste. But because you're big roughy tufty boys, you probably could just drink it straight.
Could with this one as well. It's lovely and fruity.
Uh-huh.
Is it the first time you tried this one, Gaza?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I don't think I tried this Sunday.
Yeah, and you'll get your kind of initial tastes from that, and you'll be able to discern some sort of flavours. But what we then say is, when you add your tonic, just add a little bit, because you can always add more. Yeah. And then the question you ask yourself is, it tastes like what? Because everybody has a different palate. Everybody will taste it differently depending to what your palate has been exposed to. So you'll either get some taste, you might get a taste as you're swilling it around your mouth, you might get different taste in the swallow, you might get a colour, you might get a memory, you might get an emotion. So whatever comes straight into your mind from, tastes like what? So, tastes like
it tastes like sweets.
Yeah.
It tastes like almost like strawberry bonbons, you know, those powdery balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. It tastes a little bit like that, I think.
Mm-hmm. That could be a nice wee garnish for it.
Actually, there's a definite, and it goes back to what you just said about a memory, that not necessarily taste, but I remember the taste of maybe being back at school and and sweets is definitely I don't taste necessarily the fruits, but I definitely it invokes a memory of being younger, and maybe it is sweets. Maybe it's like a maybe that is it. Yeah,
it is. It's interesting as well, because obviously, having seen them make it, I do know that they don't use any syrups in it. They use fresh fruit when they make it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's got a confectionery taste to it. Maybe that's the other botanicals in there as well.
But it's strange because you see, my wife, when we go out, she will drink sort of gin. She has a gin and tonic, and her biggest gripe, I suppose, obviously when you go to the bar, you say you can have a gin and tonic, and obviously, let's say the uninitiated or the very naive barman or barmaid, they just go glug glug glug, and the whole of the tonic goes in.
Yeah.
And literally, my wife is like, "What are you doing? Like, please don't." And it, there's a few places around here now that, and we're lucky enough that there's a couple of craft sort of bars open, and they understand, just serve the gin, give you the bottle, and you can self pour effectively. But there's still a few places, and bless them, young sort of studenty types, they'll just literally tip the whole tonic in, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my experience in Australia. So the first couple of places I went for a gin and tonic, my son, who lives in Australia, always sends me Husk Distillery gin, which is ink gin, and I love it. So the first place we went, I said, "Oh, you've got ink gin, and a gin and tonic, please." And I watched them pour the gin in, and then I watched them take the gun.
Oh, no.
With gun tonic. And I took it and tasted it and thought, I can't actually taste a thing.
Yeah.
So I saw that happen a couple of times, and then about the third time I went back and said, "Do you have gun tonic or bottle tonic?" This was a different bar. And they said, "Oh, we've got bottle tonic." And I said, "Brilliant, can I have a gin and bottle tonic?" So they poured the gin in, then they turned away from me, then they opened a bottle, then they filled the glass with the bottle tonic, a big bottle.
Oh, no.
Gave me the glass. Oh, God. So the next place I went, I said, "Do you have bottle tonic?" "Yes." "Do you have individual bottle tonic?" "Oh, yes, we use Longrays." "Brilliant. I love Longrays. Can I have a gin and tonic, please?" "Yes." Gin, opened the bottle tonic, and I said, "Can I just have that bottle?" No, we've got to fill it for you." And I said, I said, "Why?" "Because I like kind of 1-to-1. No. Licensing laws in Australia are 1 to 5.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that's why they do it. Interesting.
So that's why they do it then.
You basically cannot taste any of that amazing gin that they are making in Australia because they drown it in tonic. Unless you buy a bottle and take it home, you cannot. And do you know what? The best places to buy a bottle and take it home are the drive-through bottle shops.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a great concept we need to introduce over here.
Fabulous concept, especially when you go on your bike.
You crack it open on the way home.
Yeah, so I'm with you there in that one in terms of if you drown
But
it.
We had somebody at that event at the weekend as well that over-tonicked the gin. So we give them their gin and their tonic separately and say just exactly that. You can't take the tonic out once it's in. But she did, didn't she? She glugged it in and she went, "I think I put too much in." And we're like, "You've ruined it. You're right, you've ruined it."
So when you do your events, and do you get many people that, and I suppose, excuse my ignorance and maybe their naivety and ignorance, do you get many that just glug it in first time, and then you actually have to sort of educate them in terms of actually don't over tonic, and then they come back to you and say, "Oh, I took on board what you said, and I only put a little bit in, and oh, the gin tastes so much better."
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be that we put the tonic in on a 2-to-1 ratio, but then we thought, no, we're giving them the chance to taste it without any tonic in it now. So we've kind of matured in our approach as well. So we give them it to them exactly straight now. And yeah, like that, we're seeing just bit by bit. And yeah, we get the ones that glug it in, and we're like, We also get people that just put every garnish under the sun in. We're like, no, put one in and taste it, and then if you don't like that, then add something else. So do it bit by bit. So it is very much, we do try and kind of educate a wee bit as well along the way.
Yeah.
Don't eat all the chocolate, Robin, at once, for example.
I was just struggling then. It was sliding down the glass. I was like, what's going on here?
Pride of its own, dude.
Very impressed. We made
His
those.
little red breast will taste differently from the rest of it.
Yeah.
No, I won't say that.
No,
No,
no, no,
I won't
no,
say
no.
that. It's a family podcast. I won't say that.
Is it? Mm. So one of the things that this place does as well, I want to give them a good shout out because obviously they were really good to. So my wife and I, we went and we had a taster session there, and we had a look around the distillery.
Yeah.
And for 25 quid, you get so you're welcomed by their regular gin that they do, the London Dry gin. Then they take you through, and then you get to taste a little nip, and you taste it like you do, without any tonic water in, of the other 3 flavoured gins. And then your next 2 gins, you get to pick which one you want as well.
Oh,
And then
nice. Yeah.
and you get a charcuterie board as well to enjoy while you're there.
Wow.
And then 15% off in the shop afterwards. So for 25 quid, it's a really good night out.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think that's right. It's making it a whole experience, isn't it? And I think that's what some distillers kind of miss out on is making it an actual experience for people. But I saw they also do a gin school. And I'm always a little bit intrigued with the gin school. And I don't have any desire to go to a gin school, despite the fact I do dabble and make my own hideous combinations. But
I don't undersell yourself. Your floral snatch was amazing.
it was, I have to say, my floral snatch was amazing.
You never got to taste that, did you, boys?
We never know.
Unintended.
We never tasted a floral snatch, did we?
No.
And not even Jenny's floral snatch, no.
And I do
Oh.
have a t-shirt that says, "Have you tasted my floral snatch?"
That's the merchandise right there. Have you tasted
Oh,
my
God.
floral snatch?
Yeah.
You'd have worn it tonight.
I know, damn. But I always... Sorry, on you go.
No, it's because myself and my wife. I mean, I don't drink huge amounts of gin. My wife drinks gin, but when you just mentioned then about the sort of the gin tasting evenings, we've been to sort of various wine tasting evenings where they'll bring out sort of 4 or 5 bottles of wine and they'll say this is the such and such a grape from such and such a region and it likes this weather and it's grown in this way and aged and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you get to taste it, you get to drink it, and then for what, sort of 25 quid a head or whatever, there's 4 or 5 of you think, great, we've had sort of 4 or 5 bottles of red wine, it's been fantastic, there's been some charcuterie boards out there. And actually, listening to you guys, there's no reason why, and obviously it does happen, but I've never done a gin. And people sort of say, and you said that there's a gin for everybody.
Uh-huh.
I've never gone to a gin tasting session where you think, well, try this one and try this one and try this one, and you try a range of them. That for the uninitiated, which is myself, that sounds great because you can say, well, actually, on the back of that, I actually prefer that type of gin and maybe that type of tonic, or that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. It is a really good approach. Sometimes we have 4 gins from the one distiller, and sometimes we have 4 that are linked in some way. For example, this week they were all from the same region in Scotland, but they weren't all the same distiller. But they had common threads throughout them. But they're all very different gins. We try and include a navy strength in each tasting, which is 57% alcohol.
So everyone's their favourite.
Yeah.
They're saying, do you know, I think this is the 3rd one. I think this is my favourite. And I said, do you know what? I bet the next one's your favourite as well. Because by the time that was my favourite. That was my favourite. But it is surprising. Some people can, by the end they say, I really like that one and that one, but I didn't like this one so much. And I think it was because of X, Y, Z. So they can begin to pinpoint. So it's really, really good. And we have people, because we don't tend to repeat any of the gins, we have people this is a sort of semi-regular venue that we have, so we have people that come back and they know they're going to get something really, really different every time they come. So it is good. It's a good way of introducing people to a gin that's maybe at the £40 plus price point, which is a big investment if you get it home and then discover you don't like it. So far better to come to an event, have a wee taste, and then say, right, I like that one. I'm actually going to invest my money in that one. Yeah.
You see, I've just trying that one with the tonic, and with the tonic, I actually get much more fruit. Whereas
this opens it up.
Yeah, so whereas with just the gin, there wasn't quite as much fruit, but with the tonic, absolutely, I can now taste the fruit base.
Yeah.
And like I said as well, like I say, you get to they show you around the process when you make it, and they do just they don't use any sort of syrups or anything, which I think a lot of the flavored gin companies tend to. They use fresh fruit, which, to be fair, must be more difficult then to get that same balance of flavour each time. It must be quite challenging.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how any producer gets one batch the same as the next batch, the same as the next one. The consistency must be so hard to achieve when you are using fresh fruit and things like that, where it's so, the variable is so potentially wide. You know, a batch of strawberries one day can taste completely different to the batch that you get next week or whatever. So yeah, it is. And I think that's, I was trying to put my finger on what made this a different pink gin. You know how there's pink gins everywhere, you know, Gordon's to all sorts, Greenalls, all the big names have got them. And a lot of people try and produce a pink gin because I think it's quite a marketable gin. And it's quite a good introductory gin. Most pink gins tend to be, you know, if you really don't like gin, you could probably drink a pink gin. And I thought, but that doesn't taste the same as the other pink gins. And I do think it's the blend of fruits that they've got in it. And I think when you put the tonic in, it's really, for me, the strawberryness that comes out. And a lot of the other pink gins have berries, but not strawberries. They have raspberries and brambly type berries and so on, but they don't necessarily have the strawberry. And I think it's a wee bit sharp and a wee bit, I don't know, it's just not the same as the others, as the more mass produced ones.
And this is where we kind of pride ourselves that we all have different palates. So we wouldn't all say, oh yeah, it's strawberry, yeah. So for me, and I don't know if there is any of this in it, the overwhelming taste I get is a sharp cherry.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think there is any cherry in it.
No, I don't think there is. I think it was strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and maybe blueberries as well. I can't remember the other fruit in it, but yeah.
You see, now the gin's, it's definitely, I get the strawberry now. I've added, I didn't get it initially, but I get it now. I've added the tonic.
Yeah.
So I get quite a cherry, but also get, you were talking about childhood memories.
Yeah.
I do also get a childhood memory of Benelin.
Okay.
Is that a good thing?
It's a good thing, because I can remember it wasn't often we got to be off school, because our mum was a teacher, and you know, she couldn't afford for us to be off school, so we get sent to school with all sorts of illnesses. But on the odd occasion where we were allowed to be off, I can remember getting a slug of Benelin and a sleep in the big bed in the afternoon. Oh my God, that was quite a luxury. So I have very fond memories of Benelin. So that kind of cherry Benelin taste for me is takes me right back to my childhood. Love it.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, you're giving all our secrets away, Joyce.
I'm also going to tell you about my garnish or lack of it tonight, because I think I'm traumatized by garnishes. Because the last time, Jenny, do you remember we were at a cocktail evening in Edinburgh, and this was what one of the garnishes was held on with.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
hat pin.
Yes, it's like a blood sharp hat pin. Yeah.
Wow.
It could
So you'd never get away with that in Glasgow. Somebody would stab somebody in Edinburgh by now.
Of course, we took it home just in case. You never know who you might meet in the bus. So there's that. And then on Sunday, we picked up these as well. And I thought, that's another jaggy, pointy implement for a garnish. I'm not sure I'm going to do a garnish. So I thought tonight, instead of garnishing, so you'll see I've been drinking out. This is just my everyday drinking glass, but I've kept my proper gin glass tonight because I like a big, thick crystal one. So instead of a garnish, I've gone for a bit of rimming.
Oh, everybody! No, I won't say that. I won't say that.
Come on, I've set you up. Come on.
Yeah. I want to know what it's rimmed with.
Well,
do you really though?
Well, I've rimmed it with homemade granola because I thought it might then taste a wee bit like a knobbly bobbly. No.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, taste it, but here we go.
But to be fair, I'm glad that's you that's got it, because that sounds disgusting.
Well, it's crunchy. It's probably just as dangerous as the hat pins and things, 'cause it's all over my face. I never knew that would happen with rimming. I really didn't.
That's the danger when rimming goes wrong.
Well, nobody told me. Jeez, oh. Maybe I'll just
That's the podcast title.
That's the podcast title. Yeah, when rimming goes wrong. No, maybe
I'll just lick it off first. But yeah.
It's getting worse.
Innuendo bingo tick.
I've always wanted to be in the Scott Milk Show. So
Even
it doesn't enhance the gin. It doesn't really. So stick with your wee Robin garnish. Yeah.
yeah. Of all the things I have in my house that I that I was going to say that I could possibly rim with, that is so wrong. Granola wouldn't have been one of them.
I just like flake, but then I thought,
That's a path I never thought this podcast would take.
There was always the danger.
you know us. You take the risk of asking us on again.
But I love it.
Yeah.
So rimming's always an option with your gin. If you haven't tried a wee bit of rimming with your gin, then it's just a whole new world of possibilities.
That's it. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I genuinely don't know what to say.
Anyway,
I'll try and bring that back, Joyce, to the lovely distillers who sent us an actual pouch of the gin, which is very eco-friendly, fully recyclable, or for us festival goers, fully reusable, because we can fill that with our gin and stick it up our jumpers.
Oh yeah, you can get 2 each cup of your bra. It's great for festival.
It's true. Yeah, see, there's a whole other world. A whole other world. So yeah, and actually I looked at the full range that the Edge did, and their pear gin really intrigued me as well, because Joyce, I think we've used pear as a garnish before, but I couldn't find the gin that we'd used it for, and I can't remember for the life of me. Sorry?
Blackwood's gin, Scottish gin.
Ah, that's what it was. Yeah. And it's a really pear is a really nice and quite unusual addition to a range for a distiller. And then their London Dry has got like star anise and wolfberries in it.
It has, yeah.
Which is very interesting. I never heard of a wolfberry and I wouldn't know what it tastes like.
Where you would find it in a wolf, but yeah, just
I know.
What's the star anise then? Because you see, I would imagine star anise is quite not an overwhelming flavour, but quite a strong flavour.
It's a bit of a Marmite. You either love it or hate it. You know, it is one of those that we tend to keep that separate for people, because they will either love it and it will really enhance the gin and bring out all of those kind of licorice or fennel or whatever tastes in it, or they will like, no, I don't like that, and they would rather have a citrus element in it, which actually for the ones that have got star anise, the flip to that tends to be a citrus, so it tends to be an orange or a pink grapefruit, which changes and it pushes that sort of licoricey taste right down, or aniseedy taste right down, and brings the citrus notes up. So it's a really interesting contrast with the two, but that's their London Dry has got that in it. London Dry, pear, Fruits of the Forest, what's the other one?
Orange.
That's, I love a blood orange gin.
Their orange gin was fabulous. It was. I thought it was up there with this one. To be honest, the wife loves this one, which is why we've ended up with a few bottles of it here. But just to take you back then to the London Dry gin. So the star anise wasn't that overpowering in that one, which I thought was interesting. Now, I must be honest, I won't say I was disappointed, because it is still a very, very good gin.
Yeah.
But I love that taste. I really like.
I do.
there's one you guys had traded. I saw it on your Instagram. You'd shared the Death's Door gin,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that's got a real strong taste of fennel to it.
Has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one. I love that one. But the wolfberries, you probably have had them. They're also known as goji berries.
Oh yeah, I have
So yeah. So
to
that's
bring
Yeah.
back from China and massive
Yeah.
packet. Yeah,
And we
and
use
that's
goji berries in one of the gour gin
absolutely
for a garnish. Yeah,
garnish.
yeah. We
Yeah.
absolutely did. I didn't get they were the same. But you know the London Dry. Have you got a bottle of the London Dry?
I haven't. No, I haven't. We've
No.
only got the fruits of the forest in
Yeah,
at the moment.
because I think if you try the London Dry and put in one of the wee dried star anise that you get in the supermarket, it will totally draw that element of the London Dry right out. So as you know, using it as a garnish really pulls anything that's in there right out. So it is quite interesting. It's an interesting one.
I'll give that a
We've
go.
used it a few times, haven't we, Joyce?
Use it quite a lot as a garnish, and as you say, so a lot of people see it when we put it out, and they kind of go, "Oh, I'm scared to put that in."
Yeah.
But yeah, some people, it's love or hate it, isn't it? But actually, going back to the Edge, I've got a question about the Edge and their connection with Merlin.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the connection exactly? What's the story?
Do you want to tell them about Alter the Edge and that connection?
No, you can go.
Oh.
I was going to tell them about the Merlin pub, but
All right. I was hoping guys would know actually because I haven't got a clue. But the local legends are around here that Merlin was in that area, and there is a carving or a statue local to the area which says something about, I forget how it goes, but it does make a sort of reference to imbibing liquids. I think it's more water than gin.
Yeah.
So Alderley Edge is sort of known for that.
Yeah. So there's a couple of sort of well-known, I say, beauty spots and stuff. So there's a place called the Wizard Walk. Obviously, ties in with Merlin, and there's a local brewery that does a couple of beers that are related to sort of King Arthur and Merlin and that sort of thing. And as I say, you go to the Wizard Walk, and all of their trails are named after various, I say, characters from that that sort of myth as such, Arthurian sort of legend and stuff. So, I'm glad you asked it. I'm really naive and I don't actually know the answer. But I know that there is reference, as Adam said, I know that there's reference to him being local to that area, and that there must be something as to why that's called that, known as that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason I asked it was because Jenny had mentioned it and I had a quick look. And also, we have a similar thing here in Peebles where I live. We have the Merlin Trail, and if you Google it and look up the Merlin Trail, so Merlin actually died up here.
Okay.
At a place called Dromelzer. Killed 3 times, bludgeoned, impaled himself on a stake, and then he drowned because his head was in the water. So there is a place very close to Peebles where he died. But there's also at Stobo Church was where he was allegedly converted to Christianity by St. Kentigern, who was he the patron saint of Glasgow? No, I don't know.
No,
anyway,
no, yes.
Right. So there's his baptismal stone at Stobo Church, and there's something else here, but there's quite a big trail here as well, a similar thing. So who knows? He was a busy boy and he got all over the place. And also there's a bit of a myth in Peebles. We have a hill called the Venlo, and it's shaped like a sugar cone. It's just triangular, and the legend is that King Arthur and his round table are in the hill.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Because obviously a lot of the English, they'll go up to Edinburgh and they see, is it Arthur's Seat, which is just off from Edinburgh Castle, and it's like, have you been to the castle yet? Have you been to Arthur's Seat? No, not really. So, well, it's worth going up there because it's actually pretty good up there. So if you haven't been up there, then it's great. But there must be so many Arthurian legends dotted around various places. He came here and he went there and he's done this and he's done that.
Yeah. And I have this from Merlin, that actually Merlin is probably just the name for any kind of pagan wizard, isn't it? So there'll be Merlins everywhere, won't there? It's not necessarily the Merlin. Who knows? But yeah.
Who knows? To answer your question, I don't know. It'd be fantastic if it was the Merlin. The pub is called the Merlin, so we'll wait and see. That's good for me.
Is that Andy Hamilton's local pub? Is that the Merlin?
I don't know. Is it?
Local darts player. Yeah, I'm sure that was used to be the Merlin. Isn't it? There in Talk.
No. That was the wood. No, different place. The Merlin is in on the Edge. The place that Andy went to was the. Come back to me, Alan. I'll remember it in a minute. Yeah. Sorry, we're boring with darts talk now. It's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
No, not at all.
No. So, let's say we need to, obviously, like I said, we give a shout out to the two folks who run it, and I've just lost their names here. I've just got my reading glasses that are due in the post. There we go, Claire and Mike. So, Claire and Mike.
It's clear, yeah.
Yeah, they
really enjoying it.
They do a fantastic evening. They put it together, and it's no surprise when you speak to them that they used to work on cruise ships before. And it's really clear, because they've just got this way of presenting it that is authentic, and at the same time is very, very professional, and they get every point across. But at the same time, they're very sort of accommodating, and they'll take questions and everything like that. Honestly, I can't speak highly enough of them. And when I started blagging them, would you like to come on the podcast? I've got a podcast, giving it all up 49 countries that Tallboy Radio is in. I mentioned that we'd had you guys on, and they'd heard of you. Via social media. They'd seen the stuff that you do and were really, really impressed. So yeah.
There you go. That's so nice. That is so nice.
Yeah, we've been very quiet recently, so we've just been keeping a low profile, but that is very nice. Yeah,
that's really nice. Yeah, and certainly this would make me really intrigued to try their London and certainly their pair, just from the point of view of I really like what they're doing with the different botanicals. I think it must be so hard for any distiller to come up with something different, because you must look at it and go, oh God, Givergin have done that, somebody else has done that, Misty Isle have done such and such. Anybody with 3 or 4 gins of their own, any distiller with 3 or 4 gins of your own, you must be thinking, am I just doing the same as what everybody else has done? But they certainly seem to have something a little bit different. And certainly adding on top of that, their gin experience, their gin school, that's a great recipe for success. I just think, guys that do that, they're probably working in the distillery all day. And then being mine hosts, and I think fair play to them. Yeah.
I think that could be the difference that makes a difference, because they've got the skills from the cruise ship, whereas we've found occasionally when we've gone on distillery tours and the distillers have spoken to us, they're distillers, they're not presenters. And actually, it can be woeful and painful because that is not their skill set. Whereas they've obviously got the skill set. They're now making gin as well. What a fabulous combination. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It really is. And like you say, so in terms of the prices, the bottle, I think these go for around about £40 is the bottle, maybe slightly more, slightly less. I can't remember. If you jump on their website, it's the Edge, the.co.uk. We'll put it in the show notes just in case I've got that wrong. And like you say, they also do the recyclable packaging, and these go for about 25 quid. So if you wanted to try it and test it out, I don't think that's too badly priced at all.
Absolutely, yeah.
For the quality of gin it is, I think that's a great price point. Yeah.
And ladies, just remember the pouches are usable at festivals for all.
And gents, there's other places a gent could shove that.
I'm sure.
A gent shove that places, so yes, I can confirm that. And he was also very handy with the gaffer tape, which that didn't bear watching.
With the pouch and the gaffer tape together. Where did the novel go? Because I know it's
that's it. Yeah, you'll be rimming that afterwards, would you?
Well, I don't know. It'd be nice and hair free.
Over 18s only for this.
Put a warning.
Yeah, we will.
Pre this episode.
We will.
So obviously Carol hasn't made it, so maybe we should have a wee special Hang on a minute, see if she's in the room.
Right, hold on. You've got double Carol now.
If one wasn't enough, there's now two of them.
Yeah.
Carols, and I put it on over my microphone and everything. How clever am I?
Yeah.
Carol would talk to you about the rectification columns and
all the chemistry to go in with it, yes. And
that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, so yeah, and in case you're confused, with my glasses on, that absolutely is Carol. Look.
See, last time she was saying she was the butt of the jokes. You just proven her right.
Well, she should turn up then. Just saying.
Not here to defend herself.
That's it, yeah. I wish they had a ginger beard now with Andy not being in.
You see, that's why we always turn up, because we're so scared of what the other ones are going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
About, yeah.
I'm going to take it off again. It's very hot.
I can imagine.
Like a hat, actually.
Where else you could put a pouch is under a wig.
Oh. I feared the worst there. I feared the worst. I did.
But where does the nozzle go? Do you have it at your forehead? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
For your neck. Yeah, for your neck.
So one of the things we talked about last time, okay, you guys mentioned, I think it was Stanley Tucci and the Negroni. So
yes.
there's a company that sprung up. It's an online based one. Have you seen the Neo cocktails? Have you tried any of those?
No.
No.
Because I've tried the pre-mixed cocktails before. Do you know? Well, and so is Joyce. They're too strong. Wow. And we like our gins 2-1, but the trouble with the Negroni and some of the other of the Neo cocktails is they're basically just alcohol with more alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's gin with vermouth and like something else. Oh God, I can't remember. It's in a Negroni now. Vermouth and bitters and whatever else. And oh my God, it just knocks you out. So I haven't tried. I did it. Referring back to my Lone Wolf shelf. They did a sort of limited edition of 5 cocktails. One of them was a Negroni. Oh God, I can't even remember what the other 3 were. And they were beautifully packaged with a wolf and all the rest of it. And that's why I really bought them. But the Negroni was really, really strong. And oh God, don't tell any Negroni drinkers. I would want to put tonic in it. Oh, crucify me, my God.
I'm happy to admit I just don't like Negroni. Don't like it.
Yeah. Wow. And people say it's an acquired taste and you've got to stick at it. And it's a bit like a gin. There is a Negroni for you.
But is that the individual? Do you not like the individual tastes of each of the individual sort of ingredients, or is it the combination of them, because they just don't work building on each other, if that makes sense?
I think for me it's the combination, because I do like the gin. I do, and I can drink the sort of Campari type bitters. Vermouth I'm not mad on, but I can drink it in other cocktails.
Yeah.
I think together.
But when you okay.
Yeah.
And what about you, Joyce? Are you the same? Is that?
Well, I have once been described as spew prone, and
okay.
Yeah, and I am when I mix alcohol with alcohol.
There's always fun.
We won't tell them about the designated quizzes.
Oh, we will.
There's no shame in that. There's absolutely no shame in that. But I always find things like Negroni are never as nice when they come back up. So they're a bit burny.
No, it's a bit bitter.
So I'd rather avoid that.
I think they're quite burny when they come back up. They burn you like mad.
Yeah, not for me. I just know that I don't do that well. So I'd rather enjoy my drink than risk it coming back up because somebody says to me, stick with it. Life's too short. I like gin. Yeah.
The thing with the Negroni is, as you say, if you're a fan of gin, the one thing you can't taste in it is gin, and that's it's not the star of the show. So if you're, when you talk about it being a gin cocktail, I don't think it is, because you taste all the bitters and everything. I don't mind it because I like sour sweets and stuff like that, so I like that bitter taste. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy the fact that I couldn't taste the gin. The gin was almost pointless to
Yeah.
the cocktail.
Absolutely. It's as if the gin is just there to give it another layer of a punch that it doesn't actually really need, I don't think.
Mhm.
And I see people making Negronis with really expensive, beautiful gins, and I think, why?
Yeah.
Because you're drowning that gin with whatever else you're putting it, and I don't really understand it. And I know we have gin pals that will be horrified by that, but I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So one of the stories that Gaz wanted to share with you tonight was the last time we did a podcast where we were drinking spirits. The thing is, Gaz does not drink spirits. Okay?
I'm not. I'll hold my hand up. I've got a really, really bad track record of spirit drinking. It's night out, fine beers. I've well, not quite Andy and Adam. Sort of, but, you know, I hold my own. But as soon as it comes to shorts, spirits, I don't do well with them. Put it like that.
We guested on a podcast where the concept of it is you sit and you drink a cocktail and you do a quiz with these guys. So they ask us 10 questions, we ask them 10 questions, and we drink the cocktail while we do it. And if you lose, you have to do a very, very unpleasant shot at the end of it. And it was unpleasant, wasn't it? It was deeply unpleasant. Well, the problem with that is, like I say, Gaz generally does not drink spirits, and we got through 1.5 liters of Black Russian in that time frame, in the space of an hour or hour and a half.
Within an hour and a half, it was. Yeah, we went slightly over an hour.
Yeah,
and it's the time frame as well, in an hour. Oh my God!
In fact, when it comes back up, it's black. Still.
It didn't come back up. I was pleased.
Reassuring.
But
you're actually bringing up your whole insides and your stuff.
Yeah, I can't tell whether it's the drink or my stomach bile that's coming back up. Yeah. But because I mean, me and Adam live literally like 10, 50 yards apart. I could literally I can wave into my house at the moment, sort of thing. And
for help.
Yes, and she will be keeping tabs tonight because she knows we're drinking gin.
And it probably took me 10 minutes just to get in front of, and then I stood in front of the front window and I'm like this, hello. And Jenny, my wife Jenny, she's like, get inside now. I was like, oh, sorry.
It was hilarious. But the thing was though, because it had this, you know, the vodka and the Timir and everything. Oh. You were giving them all out, weren't you? He wasn't very happy with their questions. He was very critical of them.
One of my endearing traits, I like to think, but other people maybe don't, is that when I have, let's say, excess alcohol, my profanity generally increases. So I generally swear quite a lot, and I'm a lover, not a fighter. But when I've had a couple of beers, I can be feisty, sort of thing. So let's just say I question their choice of questions in the quiz. Yeah. After probably a litre of vodka and a litre of whatever else we were drinking. So yeah, it was a good night. It was a fun night, and actually I felt not embarrassed, but I was like, I hope I didn't spoil the podcast. And those guys came back and were like, honestly, dude, it's like the best episode we've ever had. Yeah. We absolutely loved it. Can you come on again? And I was like, yeah, but perhaps take out the vodka next time. You know, no, please take it out.
They loved it, didn't they? They absolutely loved it.
And you know, we've had interactions social media wise and stuff because these guys are based in the States. So, but yeah, it was great. But yeah, I don't. I have a limit with spirits, and I can't go too much over that without there being sort of consequences, unfortunately.
And it's getting worse as you get older.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the recovery time though is longer. That's the problem.
Tolerance for beer is like this. Tolerance for sort of shorts is like that. That's the problem. Is the sort of the balance between the two is.
I do think you just need to practice more. Practice.
Oh, I love that.
He does like practicing that sort of stuff.
I love that. I can go back to my wife now. Say Jenny from the podcast has turned around and said, So on your head be it.
Although I noticed
that's true, because I had an intolerance. Well, Prosecco had an intolerance to me and wine, where I actually lost control of my neck. It was a medical condition where I would just be like that. can't actually control my neck. And all through lockdown, I practice. And now I'm fine. I'm fine now. So,
So
yeah.
you did the 5K to couch, didn't you? It worked.
Yep, totally. Yep.
Brilliant. Quality.
Absolutely brilliant.
Quality.
Oh dear. But I noticed you've not asked us for a quiz, because obviously with our book that we had out two years ago, lots of quiz questions in there.
There you go.
It might come out later. We might ask some questions. Yeah, there's still a little bit of time left. You be careful what you wish
Go
for.
to the chemistry corner, please.
I was just looking for the section on rimming, but I couldn't find it.
That's it. That's the next book.
That's the after 9 o'clock book. Is it? Oh, okay, that's the after dark
Garnish
version.
watch, it's like a watch, but with garnishes.
Yeah, it's got its own appendix.
So if you've got a very long tongue.
It's gone south again.
Yeah.
Totally.
So one of the things we did want to talk to you about, though, is obviously the last time we had you on, I think we were right in the middle of a lockdown. So you guys aren't doing your podcast anymore, are you? You've done one. Did you do one episode of Christmas? Not even this year, last year, wasn't it, or the year before? Sorry.
Yeah.
And that was just something that you guys did, wasn't it, to get yourself out there while you couldn't do the events that you've done. So can you tell us a little bit then about the events and how they've picked back up and the other stuff? Obviously, we just heard about your time in Australia and what have you.
I think we found with the podcast, the whole reason we started the podcast was just for us to get together, and we were getting together on Zoom, drinking and chatting, and we thought, let's just record this and see what happens. And of course, the first probably 5 that we put out were really rubbish, and then we kind of got a format and we thought, this is okay. But it was really just an opportunity for us to get together. So it was really self-indulgence. And then once we could get together in real life, that's when we felt, well, the podcast's done, because we're now getting together and meeting and drinking. And then life just takes over, doesn't it? We went back to work. You've now got 2 grandchildren and are busy. I'm back to travelling and just being all over the place. So we just haven't really got time, have we? And we fit events in as and when we're all together, which again is real rare, because we were possibly looking to do one in September, and then Jenny, you're away in Venice and I'm away in the north of Scotland. So again, it's kind of rare that we're all together. So events are just when we can make it, and we're together. And
I think even though Carol worked kind of throughout lockdown and everything, she was home based then, so again it was a lot easier. And as soon as she had to sort of physically go back to work and everything, it just made the time so much harder. But we look at the podcast fondly, apart from the first few, because after the first few we got our media manager involved, didn't we, which was Carol's son. And he said to us very, very kindly, have you ever listened to a podcast? You know what it's supposed to be like. We were like, no, right, okay, right, we take that on board. We'll go and listen to a podcast now, right, okay. And we realised that the first 3 or 4 were complete rubbish.
But it's strange, because our podcast, and Adam obviously was the brainchild of it, and we've had 1 or 2 sort of reincarnations and reinventions and stuff. But I suppose the premise for us was pretty much what you guys have just said, in terms of if we went, if we went into a pub, I mean, we love NFL, so if we went down to London to watch one of the American football games, and we're sitting in a boozer in London, 3 guys from the northwest of England, and we put a microphone on the table and record, what would we be talking about? What are the things? It can be politics, it can be sport, it can be music, it could be dross, it could be garbage, whatever it is and literally the premise was just 3 guys round a table having a beer, chatting shit a lot of the time, and that was the premise, really. And it's had, I'd say it's had a couple of different reincarnations where we used to talk about topics, and we would pick a theme, and we'd talk about a theme, and we'd each have sort of 5-10 minutes talking about that, and that sort of fell away. And then we're like, well, we're going to talk about beer, and we'll just do beer. And then we got some quite good feedback about that, but then it tailed off, and our regular listeners were a bit like, we sort of like the stuff you're doing beforehand. Oh, okay, fair enough. Take on board what people say. And now it's just, we haven't hardly got any script. It's just shove a microphone in front of us, and and if you've got a left turn and there's a left turn, and there was a phrase that I suppose it's Tiddy and Shiny, really, a couple of guys that we spoke to from America, and they were like, now this might go left turn, and we were like, oh, okay. And literally, like, by the end of the podcast, we were talking about something completely different than what we'd intended to talk about. And he went, but that's just a natural progression. So a bit like you guys, we'll just throw a microphone in front of us, and we're quite lucky because me and Adam are literally we're like next to each other pretty much. Andy is up in Stockport, so it's a bit harder for him to sort of see us in person, but he's obviously does it quite virtually. But it literally was just throw a microphone down, just talk about whatever. And me and Adam have known each other for years, so you know I love my Tuesday nights. It's an hour and a half of sort of, you know, escapism, just talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, you know. And we've been dead lucky, you know, the guests we've had on, we're really fortunate in terms of the social media aspect of it, and the networking that we've been able to sort of pick up, and guests from mainly, I mean, obviously you guys, but mainly America, I suppose.
Right.
And we've got sort of 3 or 4 sort of podcasters in America that we interact with pretty regularly, and we'll have them on. So, you know, and you just think, God, you know, there's no way I would even know them, B, talk to them, C, even have a conversation with them if it wasn't for the podcast. So you know, we love it, and we'll continue. You know, we'll keep going, just because I enjoy chatting shit with Dad pretty much. You know, that's the we'll have a beer, we'll talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, and before you know it, an hour and a half's gone. It's like, right, we're done now.
That's it.
You know,
let's get back to rimming.
Let's get back to rimming.
That is the format people like, because it makes them feel as if they're sitting with you in the pub, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the idea.
And that's the idea. Chuck a microphone in, and you know, there'd be we wouldn't talk about really anything different on this podcast than we would have done if all 4 of us were sitting in a pub talking about what you guys do and what we do. It literally would be throw a microphone in front of us. That's the premise of the podcast.
Yeah. And I think that's it. And the listeners kind of buy into that, and they think, oh, I want to go for a drink with you. You sound like the kind of guys I want to go for a drink with. And I think that is the really good connection that you make, because that's where they're like, it is so natural. I don't think we were quite so discerning in some of our guests. I think you've been very fortunate with some of our guests.
We only had 2 guests, and then we realised actually it wasn't about the guests, it was all about us.
Yes, really.
We only had 2. We had the double Dutch girls, and we had the other one. That was always, we only had 2. And then we're like, oh, do you know what? That's not as much fun. It's just all about us.
Well, I'm already looking forward to July 2023. You know, you guys have the Beer and Gin Festival. That's it. You know, we'll have a beer, we'll have a gin. I'm always already looking forward to that.
Did you ever do Edinburgh trip with Double Trouble?
They did. They never invited us. They did.
We'll gloss over that we told you after we were up there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not holding it against you, but I remember
Double Trouble have called it a day since then, so you don't know what went on round that table.
It's nothing to do with us.
Honest.
To be honest, it was a good trip.
More than Double Trouble, because we really did applaud them and everything they were about. So I was really sorry to see that that they had gone in a different direction. So
I've spoken to Dave recently, actually, just to see if we get him back on the podcast, and he is going to come back on at some point in the very, very near future. We haven't set a date yet, and I was sort of saying, well, we can pitch some different ventures at. He says, don't worry about it. First of all, your ventures weren't that useful. And second of all, I actually already have one. So he already has in mind what he's going to do. And sadly for us, it's nothing to do with darts, and it's nothing to do with alcohol. And he will not tell me any more than that. But he does have something else in mind.
Can I resurrect my Theo Pafitas Gaz or whatever it was from the Dragon's Den or whoever it was? You know, that's quite good. It's a shame, you know, the Double Trouble guys. We have a bit of an affinity to, you know, two top guys. You know, we spent a great weekend up there in Edinburgh with them, didn't we? So
yeah, whatever.
We left.
Yeah, sorry, ladies.
Yeah, I think we left Scott's house at about 3
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning after the 5th text from his wife from upstairs telling us to keep it down.
That's probably me.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes everything has a lifespan, doesn't it? And sometimes you've got to kill your babies or kill your darlings or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah,
And it was just that time for them that it was ready, it was done, time to move on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll have fantastic ideas because they're inventors and entrepreneurs and geniuses. So yeah.
And I do think that's, you know, you mentioned Dragon's Den there. I do think that's really interesting about people that you see going on to Dragon's Den and they do whatever their spiel is and they go, have you got anything else? And they go, well, actually, I do X, Y, and Z in the background. And the people that think like that these guys are entrepreneurs, they don't just think about one thing, do they? They always have loads of ideas going on and loads of different products or services or ideas coming to market. So yeah, I think you're either wired that way or you're not. So yeah.
What I have to say is though, they did a very limited edition gin for their local football team, which is the Langham football team. Okay. And I messaged David. I said, look, if I buy a bottle of gin from your website, will you send me that instead? And he said, yeah, we will. And that was the best one they produced. Honestly, it was a tonka bean and I forget the other flavour, but it was something really unusual. So the football team played in yellow and black, so they picked the two flavours. I'll find out what it is and I'll message you. And I tell you what, it was absolutely phenomenal, really, really unique, really smooth, incredible.
You have a skill there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the number of distillers that do little side projects. Joyce, remember we were at Crossbill and they had just done a gin for, was it Turnberry or St Andrews?
It was one. I think it was
somewhere. Was it Turnberry?
Yeah, golf places. Yeah, it might have been Turnberry.
I can't remember. I don't think it was Turnberry actually. Now that I think about it, because that's Donald Trump.
Is it not Glen Eagles?
Glen Eagles. That's who it was. They had done a gin for Glen Eagles, and we know of other distillers that have done little bespoke projects for, you know, very specific events or clients, I guess. And sometimes those gins will never see the light of day for the general public, but they might be the very one
that's the nugget, isn't it? That's the one that you think actually that's the best one.
Yeah. Oh, can we trip down to Langham and just hang around the football club?
That's it. Well, that's it. Don't try not to mention rimming, and you should be okay. So we're coming up to around about the hour mark now. So I want to give a quick shout out, obviously, to the Edge Gin Company. So head to www.theedgegin.co.uk. Have a look what they've got on offer there. Try some of their gins. If you're a gin fan, like I say, some of the packaging that you know, the refillable packs, 25 quid. If you want to just try a little bit of a taster session, go for them. And they do the miniatures as well. So they do the miniatures, you can buy it, and do the different flavors. So get involved with that. Honestly, fantastic gin, fantastic people as well. And that's the most important thing. We spoke to them about maybe coming on, but like I say, they're really, really busy and they have a corporate evening tonight. So they've got a load of people in tasting their gin and doing it as, you know, alongside another company, you know, to give their employees a different experience. So that's just one of the many, many things that they can do. And Gazia needs to give a shout out to our sponsors, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much to Ollie's Snacks, as always. If you want your olives, nuts, pretzels, chocolate pretzels, get yourself over to ollies-ollies.com. There's 20% only available in the UK if you use the code TallBoyRadio, all one word. Capitals, you can get your 20% discount. And with every order placed on their website, they will donate a school meal to a child in need. So get yourself over to ollies-ollies.com. Thank you very much, as always, to them for their support. And head over there for all of your savoury snacks.
Indeed.
I'm just wondering if I could squish a pretzel for the top of my glass for a wee bit of rimming.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Head over to ollies-ollies.com and you can get all the pretzels you would ever need.
Not use the chocolate pretzel.
The chocolate pretzels are absolutely gorgeous, by the way. So
they are, but not for rimming.
No.
See, I bet you're glad I didn't bring a garnish.
But seriously though, guys, it's been great to catch up. I've really enjoyed this last hour or so. It's just
been a hoot. It's been an absolute hoot.
It's been fun. It has been fun.
I haven't laughed so much for
a long time.
For a long time.
That's his got absolutely mullered on it.
He's got mullered on the designated quiz, but I don't remember that. So that's okay.
It's been great fun. Thank you.
It's been fantastic. Thanks for inviting us. Yeah.
No worries, guys. We say goodbyes.
Oh yeah, ribs are hurting. I've laughed so much, and just wanted to, hope that whatever it is that you guys are doing in the near future. I know you said your podcast might become to a bit of an end, but the events you're still doing, and I wish you guys absolutely all the best in the future and stuff. We'd love to have you on again. Just to see where you've gone sort of post pandemic and what stuff you're up to now. So absolutely love tonight. Can't tell how much I've enjoyed it. The gin was fantastic. Personally, prefer it with the tonic in. It seems to bring out the flavours a lot more. So, but yeah, it's been a great episode to come back to after a sort of 3-week hiatus as such. So, thank you very much, ladies. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So, same for us. Thank you. Thanks for asking us.
And
no worries.
For the Edge gin, because it is superb. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. So
I'm just a wee bit worried about opening this door and my husband being standing there.
yeah. Thinking the same thing about my wife, to be honest with you. But that just leaves it for me then to call time on this episode. So thank you very much to the Edge Gin for the fantastic gin that we've been enjoying tonight. Kaz has stayed pretty sober, so that's an absolute bonus. I don't have to explain myself to his wife tomorrow, which, that said, there's still opportunities because we're out for a few beers tomorrow afternoon. So there's still time to upset his good lady wife. But I want to say thank you very much for joining us. This won't be the last time I have you guys on, because we've really enjoyed it. And I will say goodbye. Thank you for listening. And we promise that no chocolate robins were harmed in the making of this episode. Take care.